All right, I think we should get started. So welcome everybody. This is the Microsoft and You webinar for September 2022. Somehow, some way already the end of Q3 for the year. It's amazing how fast it goes. I'll be your presenter again. I'm Ted Brown, Director of Product Management here at Ntiva. So today we're going to talk about Power Automate. So we're going to first talk about what the Power Platform overview is and how Power Automate fits into it. And I think what's going to be powerful about this is actually kind of put into a little presentation, a demo of how you can actually utilize something along with Power Automate within a daily task that might be occurring at your business to maybe kind of get some ideas going, how you can actually implement this for your employees, see how you can kind of streamline some processes. As with the other webinars, please use the Q&A section for any and all questions, and I'll go ahead and answer any questions at the end of this presentation. Like the other webinars as well, please feel free to ask any questions regarding any of the other past webinars I presented on Azure Virtual Desktop, Outlook Tips and Tricks, Microsoft NCE, Intune, Windows 11, whatever have a question, pop in there. I'll try to answer it. If not, I'll follow back up with you after the presentation. Also, I'm planning for the 2023 webinars that we're going to be rolling out doing a similar type thing. And I'm looking for some different ideas that might be more important to you. So if you have any ideas of any webinars that you want me to present on and get some more information on, please let me know in the chat and I'll go ahead and consider that for our 2023 rollout for our webinars for them. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. So Power Automate falls into a platform called the Power Platform Overview. And so Microsoft has put this together because pretty much Microsoft, modern businesses run on data, and users interact with this data on a daily basis, from entering time into payroll or seeking guidance on existing processes, and really just analyzing data to make decisions, like you can see here in the Power BI, which some people might have used on this webinar before. And now our world is driven by technologies these days, and we can actually power and empower our users to gain insights and interacting with data that's all around us, that's actually embedded in the Microsoft toolset. And that's kind of where the Microsoft platform, Power Platform, has come from. We can actually enable our business to craft solutions and empower our users to customize the technology they have that can actually traverse down from the CEO to frontline workers. And all this is driven by the data that's in hand within the ecosystem of Microsoft 365. Now, with this, the Power Automate does contain a couple different primary applications, and you'll see here on the left side, Power BI, which is something some people might have used today. But, ability to connect and visualize any data that you have. You can really connect into databases, Excel, external databases, and it kind of does a nice way of unifying that data into a scalable solution, self-service, and basically be able to do like business intelligence on the data you have at hand. I think I'll probably have a webinar completely on that sometime in 2003, because there's a lot you can delve into that topic. Next one we have is the Power Apps. And the Power Apps is kind of what it sounds like, the ability to actually build applications within the Power Platform within Microsoft 365. It really is the ability to give you a suite of applications, services, connectors, as well as a backend database. So you can actually build programs that can run within Windows, or also build web programs that can be maybe pushed out to mobile devices or anything on iOS or Android. Very powerful and scalable solutions you can build within there. And they do it in a nice modular way, where it can be a low code effort to develop these applications. So you don't need a high-end developer degree to actually put these things together. Next, after that, we have the Power Automate, which is process automation, which we'll get into a little bit later in this webinar, and going through how you can actually utilize this with your business. The next one is another fun topic here, Power Virtual Agents. Like I said, I think each one of these can be a complete separate webinar. And the Power Virtual Agents is basically AI built into potential chatbots. So you can actually build in some chatbots that can talk to you and answer questions, from simple questions and to like common questions about your company, or potentially also resolving complex conversations and kind of get in there in the nuances of what you're asking for, built into the AI builder down here below, of actually trying to find the answers that make sense for the questions being asked. And lastly, within this Power Platform is something that was recently released this year called the Power Pages. And this is just external facing websites. So within the Power Apps that you can be building, you can actually build on front of it a website that's for your company's organization. So you can actually have the ability to create, a fresh new design that actually has some templates in there, design studios, and again, kind of in a modular framework that's easy for a potential person to actually put this together. It doesn't have the high-end skills of a developer on the back end. So all those make up the Power Platform. Those are the applications, but underlying those are certain key aspects of the Power Platform that you have to consider and understand as well. One is the data collectors. So the data collectors is basically a way providing users to connect their accounts and leverage a set of pre-built actions and triggers to build their applications and workflows. So really what it's doing is basically making connections between like an Excel online to maybe a box and creating those connections between there, an API connection and an application program interface that's already pre-built. So it doesn't require any development skills to put together, that's set up in a secure fashion. So you can instantly connect those two programs together. Popular connectors include Salesforce, Office 365, Twitter, Box, Dropbox. There's a whole bunch of different solutions out there that the data collectors can take advantage of. And I can show you here. This is real quick. This is my Power Automate right here. I'm already right into the connectors. And in here, these are all the standard connectors that come pre-built within Microsoft Power Automate. And this is actually free of charge right now, as long as you have one of the main Microsoft 365 SKUs, you actually already have this built in. So all the standard connectors are considered free. And you can kind of peruse this information right here and see what it connects into. So you got your Microsoft Teams, you have Twitter. I think you even have Box up here somewhere I saw. And here you go, Google Drive, OneDrive, Box, there it is. So you've got a litany of different pre-built application and connectors that are already there at your disposal. And if you want to actually start doing more of a paid type of engagement with them of doing something like this, you get into the premium connectors. And this has a ton of different options already pre-built in here. You can see here, I'm only right at the top of the scroll button. And it's got a ton of things in here you can actually connect into automatically. So things that built into Azure, as well as third-party type of applications. The next piece of here is kind of what was at the bottom of this chart right here, the Dataverse. So really, once you have all this information, you have the ability to these applications, you have the data connected, you actually have to have a place where the data gets stored. And that's where the Dataverse comes into place. So basically, this is really just a secure storage solution and be able to manage the data used by your business applications. This was originally designed for Dynamics 365 applications. I don't know if anyone's used that within the Microsoft framework, but this is similar to items such as Salesforce or ServiceNow type of deal, where it was basically serving Salesforce or sales and customer services. It's really called like a PSA, like a program automation solution out there. And the nice thing about this is it uses a common data service that is built into Azure AD for authentication and authorization to make sure that you're allowed to see the data that you're supposed to be able to utilize. So you can actually create some segregation between people who what applications and data they should see and what they should not see. That's the big thing when you're actually making sure that you're sharing data across the entire organization. So how does Power Automate fit into all this? So Power Automate is really an online workflow service that allows automating tasks across multiple different services using, again, the connectors, which then provides a way to connect accounts and leverage pre-built applications to hit actions and triggers to then build and do application workflows. Some examples of this could be anything you want to do is automating a business process within your organization. Is there something that you're doing on a daily basis that is the same every time? Maybe I have a file that I save for, I have a file that I'm creating that when it gets approved for that it's a process that all the entire company is going to be used, maybe it needs to go from my OneDrive to a SharePoint site that people can go to and ask for what's this process look like. And so once that gets approved, it automatically copies that information there instead of having to drag and drop. So make sure it happens every time in the same way every time, which is more important. Next thing you can do is send out automatic reminders of past due tasks. This one's kind of a neat one as well. You can kind of put into Outlook saying, hey, maybe every time I get a email that comes through that has a high level a high response rate, I can go ahead and send it to a task in my Outlook. So it creates a trigger that I need to have a task done every time. Again, you can right click and do that, but this makes sure it happens automated every time. Maybe you want to do some moving data between systems on a schedule. And you can also, again, like I showed you before, you can connect more than 500 data sources against any public IP API. So again, I don't think anyone's going to here develop their API to connect in, but these are all pre-built for you to actually take advantage of. And even after that, you can actually go even further. If you actually want to build a solution here, you can actually automate a task on your local computer like computing on data in Excel. You can actually record yourself in Excel of clicking on this button, going over to this cell, maybe doing a calculation and record that whole process. And then you can actually hit the go button on that process and it will happen every time. So if you're actually doing some in Excel continuously, you can actually build your own macros in here and actually have it run through Power Automate. So very powerful. So when I take a look at Power Automate, I almost feel like it's like the main part of the flow that's happening with this Power Platform. So everything make it a Power BI solution or Power Apps, you probably want to have some automation happening, and it will traverse the Power Automate application within here. So the Power Automate here, you can actually do take information from Power BI for some reporting, take storage, like I said, from OneDrive or SharePoint, do data inputs. We're using forms, and actually it's going to be the demo I'm going to do today is actually building a form for input of actually having people, request a computer and having to go through a approval method. You can build into it the ability to connect into the Power Apps if you're actually developing an application. It doesn't have to happen like I'm going to show you for this demo purposes, but from there you can actually go into requesters and approvals and payroll and approval groups if you want it to get down to that level. So that's kind of how the Power Automate fits into the Power Platform picture. Now, what's it going to cost us? The best part about this, I think, is a lot of the main pieces I think people take advantage of the Power Automate platform are available free today if you have one of the main basic Microsoft 365 SKUs. So if you're using a Business Premium, or if you're using the Microsoft Business Standard, E3, E5, all those will include the ability for the use rights of using Power Automate. And that's what you have right here at the top here. You can see you have the cloud flows, creating the automated instant schedule flows. That's kind of what I'm talking about here, is building out those redundant information, the redundant tasks you're doing on a daily basis. That's already built in here. Now, if you actually want to get into a per user plan or maybe a per app plan, those can range from $5 per person up to $20 per person, or you can maybe do a per use flow. And this kind of gets into more kind of building out your power applications, or want to do something like an unattended desktop flow where you actually build out a process where it can run if someone's actually not at their desktop at the moment in time. So with that said, I think I probably want to get into a little bit of a demo to kind of show you an example how you can use this in your business today, and to kind of show you how to get some other ideas what might make sense to you as well. And that's all starts off within the Microsoft framework. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over here. Pop over here to my Tomorrow's Firm today. So if you guys have actually hadn't joined me for any of the webinars, I've used this account before. So this is going to be my admin account for this group called Tomorrow's Firm today. And so if you come into your office.com, you can click the top buttons up here. You have different applications. So you have your Word, your Excel, things you're probably utilizing on a daily basis. And if you click all apps in here, it gives you all the stuff that you're licensed to take advantage of. And in here, you will see Power Automate, and you'll see another thing in here called Forms. And so that's where we're going to start off here in Forms. So my idea here to kind of show you for a demo is building out a solution where an end user can request a PC, and that end user PC request would go to their manager, an approver. The approver will either approve it or decline it. And once they approve or decline it, it will then send, if it's approved, will go to the person that is going to actually order the machine, and then let the actual user know that it's been ordered. And the key part about this as well is making sure you're actually tracking this information. So this will actually come down to an Excel document that can actually track this information and show when it was, when the order was asked for, and when it was approved and who was approved by. So you can actually see this whole flow. So you can actually have a document for laptop orders you can always go back to and know how it got approved, who approved it, and when it got ordered. So right here, I like to do things for data input. So for the first part of this whole process is how are we going to get the information? So I like to create a form of going, hey, does anyone need a new computer? So that starts off with a form. So I'm going to click on a new form. We'll go ahead and title it laptop request form. And so with this laptop request form, we'll go ahead and choose some different buttons. We'll go ahead, name, add new. Let's go ahead and make a choice. So let's go ahead and do a choice. Let's give what type of laptop. So maybe you already have some pre-built information out there. Hey, do you want to have a Mac? Do you want to have a PC? So this can get more refined for your organization. But for the purpose of the demo, I'll just go ahead and say a Dell laptop. And maybe they want a Mac. Apple Mac M1. And let's go ahead and add a new one. And let's go ahead and put in here shipping location. All right, so once I got the form set up how you want it, granted, you might want to have more questions in here. You can even customize it to have a logo in here if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and click here, collect responses. And this will give me the link that I can actually share out to the team for this. You can embed this into a Teams channel if you want, put it into SharePoint, or have it in a process document of where to go to order this. So that way everyone can go to this form to order a PC. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to scroll this over. I have two workstations I'm working on as well. So this right here will be demo one. This will be the manager. And this right here will be the user that's requesting a PC. So they can click on this button here. Copy. Sorry. See. It'll bring us up to what that form looks like. And you can see here, it's the same one we're talking about. So what I want to do now that we actually have this form built, let's actually build out the automation to what needs to happen next. So I've already built out the Excel document. So the Excel document I'm going to have is, the order number, the requester, who's ordering it, the date it was ordered, where they want the shipping location to be, the type, was it approved or rejected, and the approver's name. So let me pop back over to Office 365. And let's go into Power Automate. So the Power Automate you can find again if you want to click on the buttons over here at the top, go down to Power Automate right here. You can see in your listing, Power Automate, and it brings up the application here for Power Automate, a whole bunch of different things you can click on. The main thing you want to look in here for is your flows. That's what's going to actually do the Power Automate application that you're going to be building. There are templates right here you can take a look at, which are actually very handy. And I'll talk about that a little bit at the end if we have some time. But the templates can kind of give you some examples of what you can use and actually help you build something out. So if you see something you like but needs to kind of change a little bit, you can actually hit the template, take a look at how it's building the flow, and make a change to make it make sense for you and your organization. So we'll go ahead and come to my flows, and I'll go ahead and create a new flow. I'm going to create an automatic cloud flow, and we'll call it laptop order flow. And the first part is, what's going to trigger this flow? What makes this start? And so we've already created a form. So really that's what's going to start. Once a form gets submitted, that's going to go ahead and start the automation. So I'm going to choose when a new form response is submitted and hit create. And now it's going to bring up what needs to happen. So it's going to be more of a modular type framework. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about, is it doesn't take a technical backend to understand how to make this work. There's people in the organization that can help put this together without development experience or really knowing all the nuances of Office 365. So when a form is submitted, form ID, let's go ahead and grab the form that we want to use. And you can see here, the form ID laptop request form, which matches the laptop request form that I just built. Okay, so now that we've got the form to start the action, let's go ahead and create the next step. So the next step is, now that we got the form, we want to actually obtain the data. So we're going to go ahead and if you type forms in here, it'll give you some information of what you can do. So the next step is, let's go ahead and get the response details from that form. So we can see here, get it from the form identifier, and the nice part about this is it creates a dynamic content. And the dynamic content is key in this because it actually pulls in the stuff you're already building within your forms for the information you want to gather, create in your Power Automate flow. So for here, the response ID is going to equal to the response ID. That is the initial response that person puts in there. So it's going to grab whatever that person puts in. So the next step is once we actually gather the results, let's go ahead and send an email notifying people that a order request has put in. So you can type in here, email, and see what comes up. So we're going to use send an email version 2. And it pops up, okay, where do you want this to go? So I want this to go to the manager. And so that's going to be demo 1. And that's what I pre-built as demo. And also, hey, now that I got the demo, maybe the person I want that submit the form also receive the fact that they actually put in a request and it looks correct to them. So I can click on this right here. You see dynamic content. And what it's going to do as well is go in and grab responder's email. So I can actually put in here the responder's email. Now let's go ahead and type the subject, laptop request 4. I'll go ahead and put again, you see response details. Go ahead and put in the name of the person, and in the email, please order request for a type of laptop. So we can say for a Dell laptop, submit it by the person's name to be shipped to, and we'll go ahead and put the shipping location. And that way we can actually have all that information put through into a email so everyone sees that this is flowing in. And now we got that done. Let's go ahead and create a next step. And for me, the important part, again, this is the tracking system. Let's go ahead and track it in that Excel document. So just because the flow works, we want to have ability to go back and see what has happened, what has not happened. So in here, we go ahead and choose an operation. I'm going to choose the application again that we want to go to next, which is going to be Excel. And so with Excel, we want to go into that pre-built document I have, which is this right here. And we want to really update a line in here. So let's go back. And we want to add a row into the table. So I'm going to add a row to the table. So now it goes, okay, now that you want to add a row into the table, where is this table going to live? Where is that Excel document? So I'll go ahead and click on here on the location. It gives me all the locations we have, and we have it in the Teams group right here. And now that you have the location, what library is it in? It is in our document library. What file is it? So I'll click on this button, and it helps me walk through, find the file, general. Show me what's there, laptop orders. Great, now that you got the file Excel document, what table do you want to use? And it is table 1 we have for that document. And once it finds that document, it'll bring up all the fields that is part of the table. And so now I can actually fill out what this is. So order number. So the order number we want to do is we want to come in here, and each response has a unique ID. So that will be the order number. The requester will be the name of the person that put it in. The date we can put in here, submission time that was actually put in, shipping location, where we want that shipped, the type of device. Let's go ahead and choose what type of laptop, and approved or rejected, approver's name. That part we don't know yet, so we're going to go ahead and save that for the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and that builds it out. Now, one thing I like to do with this process as we're building this thing out is kind of test things, especially if you kind of put it into process yourself to see how it works. So you can see here, I hit save and then go ahead. Hey, your flow is ready to go. Recommend to test it. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a shot to see what it looks. So I'm going to come back over here to this form. Put my name in here, Ted Brown. I want an Apple device, shipping location, ship to my home, and hit submit. So thanks, it was submitted. I'm going to submit another response. We'll see if that happens. So now let's come back in here, come back in and see how this worked. It failed. So let's go ahead and click in here and see why it failed. Did not like, so you can see here, it came in here, it tells you things it didn't like to do. So you can actually come in here, demo 1, and it did not like the fact I forgot a semicolon on that. So I can actually come back in here and edit my flow, come back into the send emails, and now you can come in here and actually put the correct semicolon so it separates out the email addresses and hit save. So now I can come back in, pop in here, Ted Brown 2, and go ahead and hit Apple again. And let's go ahead and have this one sent to my office. Hit submit. And pop over here. And actually, you can see here it already worked because it actually filled out this document automatically. Spread it out so you can see here. Ted Brown 2 requested the laptop today. Want to ship to the office, and he's going to have a Mac. And also potentially it should have sent a email to the approver. So you can see here an order requested for an Apple Mac has been submitted by Ted Brown 2. Great. So now I kind of know the process is working, and you can build from that as well. So we can actually take this to the next level a little bit. So now that we actually have the flow working, let's come back through and actually add in an approval method, which I think is actually kind of nice to do. So let's go ahead and click at it. Then go back into the flow. And add another step. And so for this step, we can put in a approval. You can see here you have multiple different things you can do with approval. And the nice part about this as well, you can kind of see when you get into the actual premium portion of this where it costs some money. So over here, again, this is all part of the standard tools as is part of your typical package you're using for Microsoft 365 SKUs. So I'm going to go ahead and start and wait for an approval. So I'm going to click the start and wait. First response. And okay, great. Create a title, laptop approval. Or laptop approval assigned to. So we're going to assign this to the demo 1, which is going to be the administrator. And go ahead and click on next steps. So now that we actually have the approval, we want to have a condition. So it's a yes, no approval. Did it get approved or rejected? So now we get actually choose here. Okay, if yes, then what? If no, then do this. So go ahead and choose response. The response to the approval's request. And then we can choose in here the condition. Was it approved? And if yes, do what? So go ahead, if it was approved, let's go ahead and send another email. Send email. And this time we're going to send it to the administrator of this whole system. And this part could be, again, maybe it's the person ordering PCs at your office, maybe it's your office manager, or maybe sending out to Ntiva to actually order your account manager there. So this could be anything part of the process. Order approved. Or go ahead in here, again, your dynamic information. You can pull in any information you already gathered before. So order approved for name. Please order laptop for name. Type is, and please ship to location. And I'll also probably put in here, the person that actually ordering it also probably wants to know who's getting the information as well. So I'll go ahead and hit here, hit dynamic email, dynamic content, jump into the responses email address. That way they get that fact that it was approved as well. And if no, okay, let's go ahead and just send an email back to the end user, dynamic content, responders email, order rejected. And sorry, your order did not get approved because, and the neat part about here is we can actually go in here and choose the approver comments. Again, sorry, your order not getting approved because, and the person approving could put a comment if they're not. So they'll go ahead and put the flow in, hit save. There you go. So you can see here, the whole thing is person submits a form. We gather responses. We send out an email, the fact that a order has been asked for, put the updates into a table, and start the approval. One thing that we also want to do in here, forgot, is we want to add action. So if it's approved, we also want to update the document here. So let's go ahead and go back to a cell. And we want to update a row. So now that we have that document, we want to make sure that we put in for the order. Let's go ahead and add in there the fact that we want to update the document to show who it was approved by and if it was approved. So follow the same steps and grabbing the same file. General laptop orders, table, and grab the key, order number, key value. This will be the response ID. So that kind of links it up. So it's going to take a look to make sure the response ID matches the order number that's on the table, which is going to be this right here. So it's going to look for order number 2. That way it can update the right one for the approval, because maybe the actual person doing the approval can't do it right away. And we'll go ahead and hit, what do we want to update? We want to update 1 if it was approved or rejected. So let's come down into the response and put that in there. And if you have multiple people doing the approvals, it might be nice to know the approver's name. So we come in here and give you a list of information here, approver IDs, approver's name, and boom, we have that piece. Now hit save there. Conditions, so you can see here, it does responses that way. So it will put in the information and then pop it in if it was approved or not. Hit save. And let's see if we got this working. Oh. All right. So I'm going to pop back over here to my test user. All right, let's go ahead and do Ryan Smith wants a laptop. This time they're going to choose a Dell, and they want the shipping location as home, and hit submit. So in theory, what should happen here is we should soon see another response hit here. Boom, we see it hit here. Great. And what should happen after that, per our flow, is should go into the approval process. So I can click on my Outlook here. Order request has been put in. I can pop back over to my flow. And you can see here, I finally got my Microsoft Flow approval. So again, that was kind of the key part here, is making sure that we approve, and actually makes a nice little form that's already pre-built into the solution. Hey, do I want to approve or reject this? So I have an option of what do I want to do? So I'm going to click on approve and enjoy your laptop. Or I could put in reject and go to that part. So I'm going to go ahead and make this person happy, approve their laptop, hit submit. And you can see here now it's been set to approved. And what should happen here is I should be able to click back in to here. Should changes. It's fine. And you can see here now I have a document here that, hey, Ryan Smith ordered a laptop and it was going to be shipping to his home, order on this date. It was approved and who it was approved by, demo 1. And then after that, I should be able to pop into my email here on my admin account, Outlook, go to my Outlook here. And if all worked well, I should have, please order a laptop, and set to go from there. And have it go in. So you can see here that you can actually have your submit a Power Automate solution that actually can build relatively a small little workflow to actually develop a system that can actually have an automate process for a person requesting, for tracking if the request has happened, or tracking if the request was approved or denied, and then shipping it off to a person to actually do the actual purchase process of it. You can add any more stuff in here if actually once it's received and go on that path and actually build an entire workflow process. So that kind of is like a little example of how you can use Power Automate within your business today. And as I mentioned as well, you can come in to the Power Flows to get examples of what you want to use. So you can click on the templates here in your Power Automate, and I recommend you guys jumping out there today and see if there's anything kind of interests you within here and going through the list of stuff that's already pre-built out there. So you can see here, create a plan task when a Microsoft form is submitted. So maybe you want to have someone out there of actually saying submitting ideas or something along those lines. And once the idea is submitted, let's create a plan to actually obtain that, to do that idea. And the neat part here is you can click on this button. It tells you what applications it's going to use. So it's going to use Microsoft Forms, Planner, Notifications. Let's go ahead and hit continue. I haven't done this one before. And what it would do once this actually gets signed in, smartest from today, continue. It will pre-populate the flow for you, kind of what I mentioned. So here, again, I just had that one I kind of built through our example today during this demonstration, but here, the template brought in all the information here that you already want to do. So you can see here, all I got to do now is pick a form. So really, I could probably create a form custom right now and then start utilizing what I want to do to gain the responses and then create the task, set a delay, update the task. And from here, what's going to happen next? Send me an email, success email, send me a failure email. So it kind of has a good way of actually you kind of coming up with an idea what might work for your business, and then kind of utilizing the built-in templates to kind of see how it will work. How may I be able to implement this type of solution into my organization, and then kind of learn from there. And I would definitely recommend utilizing this small to large technique of actually building something out in a modular format, making sure a couple processes work, hit the save button, then testing out the flow and making sure it actually works as expected. And then once you get done, you can take that form if I wanted to and actually populate, I said, into a Teams channel. And then now everyone in that Teams channel can click on the button to potentially order a new laptop or whatever process you're trying to automate today. So that's what I have for you today for Power Automate. I hope this kind of empowered you to take a look at this and delve in deep into the Power Automate tool set. You can kind of get lost into it. I've done it a couple of times where I'm trying to see what might make sense for me and playing around with what tools I want to use to try to make my life easier and kind of streamline some process I'm doing on a daily basis, or maybe some people in my department that they're doing on a daily basis. What can they utilize? So I kind of get lost in there trying to play around with certain stuff. So welcome, try it. Please see if it works for your organization. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Bring it up in a future webinar if you do attend. So definitely thank you all for attending. Always a pleasure talking to all of you. And I look forward to talking with you guys in the next couple webinars. So let's go ahead and see if we have any questions today. So far, no questions. So if anyone has any questions they want to go into for Power Automate, anything else, just throw it into the Q&A section and I'll go ahead and answer it. Going once, going twice. All right, looks like that's going to be it for all today, guys. I really appreciate all the time you spent with this, and thank you for everyone that's been here for the entire time. I look forward to speaking with you next month, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye.